Back again for day 2. Shane Sparks, Jason Bryant here from USA Wrestling, and Shane, of course, repping BadgerStateWrestling.com among the multitude of titles he owns in wrestling as the sideline reporter for Big Ten Network, among others. Going to do a quick rundown of what happened here on Friday. Crazy day. Penn State, 5 for 5 in the semis, 5 in the finals. Got another placer with Dylan Alton in there. Almost locked up. It's almost locked up. Mathematically, it's still possible. Like these placement rounds, still not out of the woods. Minnesota's in second, followed by Iowa. First of all, your thoughts. You were high on Nico Megaludis yesterday. He proved the doubters wrong, picks up the overtime win over Frank Pirelli. Wow, way to kick it off.
I mean, this guy's a 3-time Pennsylvania State champion. A year ago, he's a senior in high school. Comes in as a true freshman in a tough 125-pound weight class in the Big Ten. Beat Sanders, the 2 seed this morning. Looked good against Pirelli. He is so flexible, so tough to score on. He's a 10 seed. I think Hatch to Lehigh is the highest seed in the finals. He's an 11.
Yeah, he's 11.
And you look at Megaludis with McDonough. Of course, McDonough's going to be the heavy favorite, rightfully so. But when they wrestled at that duel at Penn State, it was 1-1. Megaludis able to slow him down. Got beat 3-1 in the sudden victory. So I just can't count anybody out. Not at the stage of the game.
Well, Matt McDonough with a major decision to get to his 3rd final in a row in 3 years. Actually handled Nick Bedlyon a lot better than I thought he would. I mean, I thought Bedlyon's scrambling ability maybe would get McDonough into some trouble, and it did not. McDonough, he gave up 7 points, but at the same point, he got the major decision. So you score a lot more than the guy by that many points. You know, obviously, you can give up a few, but McDonough and Megaludis all Big Ten tilt at 125. Frank Pirelli, again, you know, the senior, been there, paid his dues. You kind of feel bad for the kid like that sat behind Nickerson for 2.5 years. Got here to the show last year, didn't pick it up, but the upset again was Sanders losing to Megaludis at 125. So crazy action there. 133, it's Stieber Oliver Part 2. D-E-U-X, like Hot Shots Part 2. So Oliver not nearly as dominant against B.J. Fruccello as he was the last time out. And another Logan Stieber, Tony Ramos, close tilt, 4-2. Stieber got the victory there. This is, again, another anticipated matchup. People have been wanting to see Stieber and Oliver.
Can't wait to see it as a wrestling fan. Oliver looks like he's at another level right now. Had the 3 pins. Futrell, I mean, no slouch. So, like you said, didn't handle him as well as he did the last time they wrestled, but still a tough opponent. Futrell had 3 pins going into that semifinal as well. And Stieber's just a stud. I mean, he's so fundamentally sound. Again, you look at the young talents.
He wrestles like a senior. He wrestles like he's been here before, even though this is his first trip to the national championships.
Yeah, Oliver will be the favorite. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a fair comparison to compare this weight class to 125. I think there's definitely more of a gap, of course, between McDonough and Megaludis, at least on paper,
right,
compared to Stieber and Oliver. I mean, you got to go with Oliver. Experience, he's done it before, and you got to like his chances. I mean, he's tough, and Stieber is too, but, I mean, Oliver, he looks like a different wrestler than what he did 2 months ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Came off that Christmas break, didn't do so hot, and then got it back into gear. That loss to Tony Ramos back in the dual meet really kind of set him off to go to a next level. 141 pounds, Kellen Russell, Montel Marion, rematch of the Big Ten final. And then
that semifinal
last
year,
which was
epic.
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, it was like Marion avenged the loss to Kendrick Maple from the Midlands finals. That was one I wasn't too surprised about because, again, Marion had been here before on a high level. He had placed twice previously. He had been in a semifinal before. Maple was here a couple years ago at 133, took the red shirt, been wrestling great all year. Now he's going to be in a situation where he's got to come back and wrestle for 3rd. But
and you look at Marion. I mean, this was his 3rd straight semi. Loses 2 years ago to Dake in the final. Now he gets a Russell tomorrow in the final. I mean, you look at college wrestling the past 10 years, and you want to make a list of some of the best guys. Dake and Russell are going to be in everybody's list.
I'll be up there. And one thing about Marion, actually with the Russell-Marion match, Russell controlled it in the Big Ten. You actually got to see that. I was just watching from, I don't know where I was at, somewhere in Iowa. But, I think the Michigan coaches made a point to really put some separation between Russell and Marion. And I think the last couple weeks, the Iowa coaches are going to do what they can to get that memory out of Marion's head to make sure he's game for the match. He was game for Kendrick Maple, pulled off the overtime victory. Pretty exciting finish.
And
there.
not to mention, too, with looking at Montel Marion, beats Novachkov, who was a finalist a year ago.
Absolutely,
as a 6th seed. So, I mean, you look at the journey Marion has taken.
Those are the quarterfinals this morning, and it seems like it was a week ago. I mean, we've got a lot to encompass here. 149 pounds, top seeder Frank Molinaro beats unseeded Justin Accordino. Accordino had beaten Lester from Oklahoma to get to the semis with a major decision, taking on Dylan Ness, the freshman. And I think we talked about at 141, the Big Ten rematch. This, too, will be a Big Ten Finals rematch. That one went Molinaro's way with the tech. So, again, like the Iowa coaches are thinking with Marion, Minnesota coaches, Jay Robinson, trying to tell Dylan Ness, you're here at this level, you can wrestle at this level. But Frank Molinaro's undefeated, been there in the finals before, no jitters there.
You look at Ness, he's got 8 losses. 5 of those losses to Molinaro and Parks. He's lost 3 times to Molinaro, lost twice to Parks, avenged that loss earlier today in the quarterfiners. He lost to
Grijalles. He rode out the third period and got the point.
He lost to Grijalles during the season, avenged that loss to the Big Ten. I think he lost to Eifert from Edinburgh.
Eifert from Cornell.
From Cornell. That was earlier in the year.
November,
exactly.
December,
Long time ago. I mean, you look at Dylan Ness and the way he's been able to progress. And, I mean, I think Dylan Ness is so dangerous. I think he's a great story. I'm really impressed with him. And, I mean, he was tech, didn't score a point against Molinaro that last time out. But, I mean, every match is different circumstances.
Especially with
all
Ness.
The pressure's on Molinaro.
Right.
All of it.
Yeah, he's got to win his title. Ness went out there and beat it. Tyler Nauman came to wrestle today. He beat Cole Von Olen in the quarters.
Destroyed him, handled him.
Had that cradle locked up late and nearly took him over. He was trying to take him over in a tie match. You know, 8-5, you look at 8-5, this was 5-5, and the riding time was the difference when he had that cradle locked up. So he couldn't turn him, couldn't get the points.
So impressed with Ness.
You know, beating a guy like Nauman who's been on the podium before. 157 pounds, Kyle Dake. Workman-like 4-0 victory over Gone by our Sanja. Sanja obviously didn't like to get on the mat with him. Got hit a couple times for stalling in the second period. Dake will take on Derek St. John. What do you got?
I want to hear this stat, Jason.
Right.
Okay, let me figure this out. So last year, Dake has to win the 5 matches.
Right.
And he had, I'm going to go just back these last couple years. I can't think back to when he was a freshman. But when you look at his last 9 matches, and I think I'm right in saying this, his last 9 matches against the best kids in the country at these NCAA championships in Philly and here in St. Louis, he's given up 1 penalty point to Molinaro. That was in the finals last year. That's it. 1 point in 9 matches.
How much Mountain Dew have you had today? Jeez,
None.
It's 10 o'clock and you're
think about
still...
that, Jason.
I know.
Try to wrap your head around that.
I'm trying to wrap
stat.
my head around how energized you are at 10 o'clock at night.
Because that's incredible.
That is a
Kyle
great stat.
Dake's incredible. And what I like about him the most, Jason, and it's kind of a cliche, but it's so true, Dake does not go out to win. He's not out there to win. He's out there to dominate, and he wants 20,000 people to all know who the biggest king of the castle is. 9 matches, 1 point, and it was a penalty point. That's
that was
stat.
last year.
That's a stat.
That's a stat, and he'll take on Derek St. John.
Oh, man. Biggest heart in the tournament.
Yeah, he is now 7-0 against Jason Welsh, lifetime in college. And just another...
Did you see that
scramble went on for like 3 years.
Best one I've ever seen.
It was definitely in the top.
Might be a prisoner of the moment. If Ben Askren's listening right now, he's going to punch me in the face when he sees me. Prisoner of the moment, maybe, but that scramble was
He's going to hand you a decaf coffee is what he would do. That'd be more of a shot.
St. John, talk about the guts with him.
Gritty, determined.
Gutsy.
It's not all flash. It's definitely he just knows how to out-scramble scramblers.
6 weeks ago,
especially a guy like Welsh.
National duels at regional. It was in Ames, Iowa.
Yeah, he got majored by R.J. Pena.
I'm watching that, Jason. I'm sitting there and I'm going, you know what? He's done. I mean, this guy is done. Here he comes back. He gets better. He had an awesome run in the Big Tens. Couple of overtime matches. Takes Welch down. Short time to hand him his first loss. Wins the title. Comes back again here today. And my favorite thing about St. John is he reminds me of almost like, use a baseball reference here, Tom Glavine of the Braves. Okay. Never knew if he was up by 10 or down by 10. St. John is the same across the board. He's level. Always poised, under control, and what a great victory for him.
Yeah, great story of his whole year in recovering from that injury. David Taylor actually gave up the first takedown against Begzad Abdurakhmanov, ends up getting the fall in the second period, has pinned his way through, 4 falls into the finals, going to take on the 11 seed Brandon Hatchett, who came from behind to beat the 7 seed Josh Asper of Maryland. Maryland just falling ever so close to their first finalist in almost a half century, probably decades more than that. So it'll be the 11 seed Hatchett, who gave Taylor a bit of a problem earlier this year. I believe it was an 8-5 match in their dual meet against Lehigh. Taylor, cruise control, even after he gave up the takedown, no problem.
Yep.
Got out, got the takedown, rode Abdurakhmanov like it was nothing. He had the big quick pin, 30 seconds over Kokish in the first bout today in the quarterfinals. And I think one of the fans on the message boards even said, I'm giving you a shout out here for that one, is they paid all this money. They didn't pay all this money to see David Taylor wrestle for 30 seconds. His celebration was longer than the match. Anyway, moving to 74, Ed Ruth, Nick Amuchastegui. We get to see it. Amuchastegui got past Chris Perry, trailed going into the third period. 6-3 win for Amuchastegui. Stays on the battle of the undefeateds. Pac-12 versus Big Ten. Ed Ruth with a tech fall over freshman Logan Storley. And you were talking about Megaludis being in high school last year. Well, so was Logan Storley in South Dakota.
Winning his 6th state title.
6. That's just disgusting. And then, he's on the big stage, got that big win over Ethan Lofthouse, and then only to run into the buzzsaw. 17-1 tech fall for the green and black dyed hair.
Going with St. Patty's Day with Ed Ruth.
I think he said it was teal or blue. He tried to go blue, and it started rubbing off on his headgear.
What do you think about this one? I mean, to me, Jason, there's some great ones. I think Marion, Russell, that one to me, I'm really jacked up. This one right here, I'm jacked up.
I don't think Ruth is choosing down.
Yeah,
don't think
that one at 174 tomorrow is going to be phenomenal. How about... want to quickly talk about that quarterfinal. Interesting dynamic. You got Mark Perry, coach of Illinois, in the corner for Jordan Blanton. Of course, Chris Perry, his brother's on the mat, and Uncle John's in the corner. And I think that's a match.
It's time to play the feud.
I don't give too much advice, but I think it'd be in the best interest of that family to never bring that match up ever again.
Yeah,
never bring it up.
Stall warning.
Politics, religion, in that quarterfinal. Yeah. Never bring it up.
Shane Sparks, dynamite insight there. 184, Steve Bosak with he had a great takedown in overtime. It's Austin Trotman of Appalachian State, the feel-good story of the tournament. He beats Joe LeBlanc, took Joe LeBlanc down 6 times in that match, won 12-9 to get to the semifinals, becomes Appalachian State's first All-American since Mark Fee back in 2003. We ended up being a 2-time All-American. Taking on... And now it's going to be Bosak of State College, Pennsylvania, taking on Quentin Wright from Penn State, who beat last year's, it was a rematch of last year's final, beat Robert Hamlin.
Wright had that big win against Honeycutt last year in the quarters, was it? And then beat Hamlin in the finals.
Right.
So Wright on another
big Quentin Wright type run. He's pinned. He pinned Ben Bennett first time out this morning, first period. Takes out Robert Hamlin. So Quentin Wright, third in the Big Ten. Now back in the national finals, looking for a second one. Guy's a gamer, Bald Eagle Area High School. So him and Bosak didn't go to the same high school, but Bald Eagle Area is in Center County, State College is in Center County. So they definitely grew up. I guarantee you they've wrestled each other several times.
They have people here tomorrow that will be rooting for both of them.
Yeah, Bosak was a little lion at State College High. Now he's going to take on the big line of the Nittany line of Quentin Wright. Now 197 Cam Simaz over Cale Byers, 6-3. Byers had beaten unseeded James Nakashima to get there. Simaz with a solid win over Alfonso Hernandez of Wyoming, who ended up placing. Honeycutt in overtime avenges his only loss of the season against Matt Wilps from Pitt. I got to say, I was impressed by Wilps pretty much throughout the tournament. I mean, he did have a pin over Brent Haynes in overtime to get there. Honeycutt in on a couple decent shots, just could not finish, and got a turn at 2-2 in the tiebreaker to beat Matt Wilps.
They had wrestled. This was the fourth time.
Fourth time.
So they kind of. I mean, they know each other well. Here we go. I don't get excited about heavyweight too often.
We actually have to preface this because Zach Ray's 6-2 win over Ryan Flores, kind of disappointing in some respects because it was clear after Ray got that first takedown, something was wrong with Flores. Ray just kind of then put it in cruise control, kind of respected his opponent, goes, something's wrong here. I'm going to do what I can to win, move into that finals. But Ryan Flores, that match probably should not have continued, in my opinion.
Okay, I didn't see it. I just saw
got dinged in the head.
For my mat, I looked over there, saw they were tending to him.
Looked like a concussion, and I think that's really all just out of respect for both the athletes, kind of leave it at that. But Tony Nelson and Clayton Jack, typical heavyweight snooze fest until the third period. And they started rolling around, got a reversal. Tony Nelson, Cambridge, Minnesota representing into the finals, the 2 seed. Ray, the 4 seed. So Ray looking to be a back-to-back champ. Interestingly enough, Ray and Flores, we'll go back to that and talk about their history. Ray's beaten him 4 times.
Ray doesn't win conference titles. He just wins
Ray's
the
beaten
title.
Flores 4 times, but Flores has 3 EIWA titles.
One at Columbia, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And what's more impressive with Flores? He's a phenomenal wrestler, but I'm more impressed with what's his GPA, 3.9 something. I mean, he's one of those guys.
Something like that. Speaking of American, Danny Mitchell from American 97-pounder was the recipient of the NCAA Elite 89 Award, which is the highest grade point average for any championship competitor.
And I think, had Amuchastegui gotten that the last 2 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
So They add another sport to make it 89, and all of a sudden, Muchastegi's GPA drops by like a quarter of a point. Other things we want to point out: Clarion with 2 All-Americans, great for them. Virginia Tech is in 9th place. That program, finally get the All-Americans under Kevin Dresser. Binghamton, first time in school history, 2 All-Americans. Donnie Vinson lost to Leicester from Oklahoma, first round as the 4th seed.
Came back.
He's come all the way back.
And in his second match, Kit was at Osterman from Michigan State, had him on his back first period.
Right.
And then he pinned him, I think, later on that same
Vincent
period.
has been on a roll through the consies at 149 since then. And then the freshman, Nick. Let me just make sure I say this young man's name right.
The kid at heavyweight?
Yeah,
I didn't even try tonight. I didn't even try. This guy right here.
Gwiazdowski. There we go. I can't say it from memory yet.
Okay.
That's phonetically. So, Pat Popalizio, 2 All-Americans, first time in school history. Shout out to you guys. What is it? A tip of the cap, and I give Shayna Wag the finger. I think that's from the Colbert report. Anyway, so I think that's going to wrap it up for us here today.
Great matches
right here
tomorrow.
behind us, right here tomorrow morning. It's not the blood round, but it's the placement matches, early morning session, and we come back for the finals tomorrow. So for Shane Sparks, Jason Bryant from USA Wrestling saying, one more day of college wrestling season. Take it easy, guys.